I got into a Genesis. This is luxury. Whether it's a sleek G70 or the GV80 with that third row, these are high-end vehicles with payments that actually make sense. Go see Michael. Tell him Sid sent you. Genesis of Brooklyn. Find him at genesisofbrooklyn.com.
Some things happen fast, like a vacuum finding your lost earring. A dog reacting to the word walk. And settling up with friends on the PayPal app. Send and receive money in seconds. Access your balance to send, shop, pay bills, and more. Download the PayPal app to get started. An account with PayPal is required to send and receive money. A PayPal balance account is required to hold and use a balance.
All right, I enjoy this every Friday. My main man comes up after me each and every weekday morning here on 77 WABC at 10 o'clock. Puts on a kick-ass show. Trust me, kick-ass. Brian Kilmeade, also part of that great threesome, Fox and Friends, every weekday morning on Fox News, and his own amazing show. We'll get to it. In fact, I'll be back in 2 weeks. I'm very excited. Michelle Richmond, way to go, baby. 10 p.m. Sunday nights, One Nation. But, Brian, before you just came on, I spoke to my friend Elizabeth Barcahona. She's a big deal out in Los Angeles. Nice girl, part of the RJC with me, with Matt Brooks and Norm Coleman. And she's out there in L.A., and we talked about these races. The governor race, where, of course, I want Steve Hilton because that's what Trump wants. And watching Steve, I can't help but like him. And the mayor race, even bigger, where, of course, most of us like Spencer Pratt. And you look at Los Angeles, it is New York, right? They've got this DSA candidate, this lady in the mayor's race who's a complete psycho. To me, she's Mamdani. To me, Karen Bass is kind of Andrew Cuomo. And then you get Spencer Pratt. The problem is we didn't have that guy in New York. Curtis Sliwa, miserably short of that. So it's similar in a lot of ways, but then again, it's not. But I think it's important that we keep an eye on these elections out in California, even from New York, because it does play a part in this country, and we need guys like Spencer Pratt and Steve Hilton to win. Bottom line, yes?
Yeah, and with the jungle primary, it's easy to see how it's easier to see how it could happen because they got the sheriff out there who's second or third. And Steve Hilton said yesterday on our air, I've been talking to him, and if it's close, maybe we'll combine forces, and maybe Steve is the lead.
Right, you're talking about Bianco, and it looks like he may be up for doing that.
And I think Bianco's a good guy, but clearly he's not. If you watch any of that, he can't go deep on the issues. He's big law and order, but he can't tell you about the economy. He can't talk about homelessness and things to that nature. You could talk about the law enforcement angle, which is fine, and you could ramp up, but you're looking for the complete candidate. Steve Hilton actually studied it for 2 years and can run any campaign. I mean, he just so you know, he impressed. Steve Hilton came here because he got David Cameron elected, and he was a real power player. He's almost like the Karl Rove, David Axelrod. But he always had his own aspirations, loved this country, and then said, I'm going to go to California, and couldn't believe the image he had in California, and the reality was totally different. But he's like, you know what? I still want my kids to grow up here, so I'm moving. And then he worked to be a citizen. He kept everybody up to date on it. And he did a really good job on his Sunday show. And you really got to see how deep he goes on the issues. He was all over the Russia stuff, and he could really unwind. So when people say he was just a consultant, I think you're missing the point. Martin Van Buren, for example, he got Andrew Jackson elected twice and then said, you know what, let me try it. And he was a one-term president. But, you get to know the issues inside and out and how to run, and that's what we're seeing. And that's why he grinded it out. No event's too small. No insult is a problem. He can handle it. So I think he'd be great. But this is what I love about what's happening with Spencer Pratt. And I could totally see you doing this if you ever ran. What he did, number one, he's a very good communicator. Number two, he actually studied the top 10 issues, including the one that affected him most, and that's the fires and the lack of response. He studied it. So not only did his mom's house get burned down, not only did his house get burned down, did his friends, neighbors of his get burned alive. Then he found out about the water situation, what wasn't done. Karen Bass changing the after-action report. Are you kidding me? And her own staffers were so horrified, they came out and turned on her. So when he got on the debate stage, I got to see conservative views and a well-researched guy on the major issues, and I got to see liberal views, and I got to see extremist views. What we're seeing in these cities is liberal against radical. So that's the debate. This is the first time I see a Republican go, of course you don't give illegal immigrants health care, but they need it. But you're going to attract more. He says, you go down. He goes, I want to get more beds for the homeless. The homeless? Do you know that they don't want beds? Do you know that if you and I will go down, we'll meet with the homeless, and we say we go to bed, they want fentanyl. They want heroin. They don't want to be in bed. They will stab you to death. This is a addiction issue. This isn't a housing issue. And I go, yes, but usually I listen to you, Sid, for the Republican conservative response, and then if you want the liberal response, go to MSNBC. But finally, I saw it on the same stage. And my hope is that Los Angelenos who know this is not working will go, I don't know if he's Republican or Democrat, but I'm done. This guy did his homework. He said, I'm not traveling. He goes, you went to Ghana. Do you went to Ghana, Karen Bass? Don't worry about me not being in town. I'm not going anywhere for 4 years. I will stay in this city and make it work. And I just hope, this is my hope, that the people of Los Angeles will start a new trend. I am going to vote for the best candidate that can make my life better and not worry about Democrat or Republican. I want there are strong Republicans to run in Chicago. Obviously, we got a strong one as governor here. We didn't get a strong one as mayor because there was no debate there and there's too much baggage. But, man, if you had a Rudy Giuliani emerge, would he have a chance? They say no, so no one runs. I say run. Get your 10%. Next year it'll be 15%. The year after that, it'll be 40% because the Democratic ideals are not effective. They're all failing. Big story today is South Carolina is getting more New Yorkers than anybody else. It's not even Florida and Texas anymore. So we're losing congressional seats. We're losing people. Our billionaires are being mocked, so they're leaving. So at one point, if Republicans stay at it, they're going to go, I'm giving that woman a shot.
That is so well said. And you're right. I talked to Nancy Mace quite a bit, and Charleston is filling up with New Yorkers as we speak. And you mentioned if you ever ran, and I kind of joke around about it, but Laura Trump is like, you got us behind you, and Bruce Blakeman running for governor. He's like, oh, man, I'd love that if I'm governor, you're mayor, and others. So I'm considering it. I really am. I know it sounds crazy, but as Frank Morano told me on this show a couple of weeks ago, if I would have told you 20 years ago that a guy that was doing reality TV would be president twice, if I would have told you that the star of Bedtime for Bonzo would be governor and the president, or a rap star, not even a star, a rapper would be the mayor of New York City, or an action hero would be the governor of California, Schwarzenegger, you would have laughed. So, Sid, that's a joke. Come on. Everybody hates him. He's a radio guy, but you never know. And the truth is that Republicans need to do a better job. That's the bottom line. We don't run very good candidates in most cities, especially in New York. I do like Spencer Pratt. We need more of those guys in cities like ours and across the nation.
Because I listened to Spencer Pratt. I knew nothing about him. I just know the name. Was this guy an actor? People would tell me, no, he was pretty big for a while. But he knows his stuff, and he's a very good communicator. He goes on Joe Rogan, and it takes you 3 days to get through it. I mean, those guys go for 3 hours. I don't even know how anyone could sit and listen. Not that it's bad. I just don't have that kind of time. But it took me 3 days. I go, oh, my goodness. This guy's understands the issues. That's the key. You go up there and you say, we got to, crack down illegal immigration. We got to make our schools better. Okay, fine. Well, we got to do something about the traffic. All right, great. But how? What are you going to do? So if you go up there and you get attention, and then when people say, well, what's your solution, and you have none, you blew it. And then people are going to start shutting off. What I like about this guy, he actually says, I'm going to tell you right now what I'm going to do. And go examine my plan. And don't tell me, I didn't memorize it, I wrote it. So Sid, you put that time in to take the top 10 problems with your solution with, of course, you sit down with the experts and you figure out what's been done and how hard it is. And then you go ahead and do it. And that's what Bruce Blakeman, I mean, to me, I'm convinced Bruce Blakeman's done his homework, knows exactly how he's going to deal with an opposition legislature, knows exactly what he's going to do with a hostile mayor. So you got to have a plan. So when people vote for you, they know they're not only they're voting for the personality, they're voting for the programs.
That's what you need. You need solutions. And Bruce spent 90 minutes in the Oval Office just a couple of days ago, just him and Trump, 90 minutes. In fact, he's going to join me later on this morning, Bruce, and talk about the specifics of what they discussed. And I agree, he is locked and ready to beat Kathy Hochul, who continues to flail $268 billion budget, I guess, was approved yesterday. But let's get to Trump. Trump and Blakeman did meet a couple of days ago, but let's talk about Iran. Trump described what happened yesterday as a, quote, love tap. I mean, look, between you and I know we both agree that this was a necessary war. I think where we disagree is that this has taken too long. This is not helping the president. I've got a lot of Republican friends who love Trump, and they're fed up. They're like, enough of this already. I want to see. Don't tell me that in August gas prices will come down. I want to see it now. So the longer this goes on, the worse it is for Trump, the worse it is for the midterms. That's a fact. I don't want to hear we're going to win. We need to win sooner than later. And to try to convince me that the ceasefire is still in place while they're bombing us and we're bombing them is a little silly, Brian.
Yeah, it's true. But just understand, it's easy to get behind Trump when things are going well, and look the other way when a Truth Social post causes more harm than help. But this is the point where you showed dedication. So when things are tough, if you think the mission is complete, you dig down and you say, okay, now's the time to come up with a plan that's going to be effective that will bring these guys to the table. If not, I would take the Israelis and what the Mossad has already done, and I would take out the next level. I would take out the next level of Iranian leaders, and I would start the program, if it hasn't started already, to begin to arm 89 million people plus that hate this regime. And that's what you do. And I'm just saying, just because things are tough and harder than you thought, I don't think you abandon the mission. And I think people, the approval for the mission, for finishing it, is actually strong. Karl Rove ran through some numbers with me the other day, who, by the way, thinks this is definitely worth Trump's time. And he doesn't get up every day praising Trump. Absolutely worth it. And he just says, you get this ends the right way, this could be a huge boon for him. And because things get tough or a little bit harder, I think it's time to say, okay, I get it. It's a little bit harder. I understand the clock is ticking, but let's come up with a plan that works. And I'll talk to General Keane about that today.
I just saw the great general at the Yankee game a couple nights ago. Give him my regards. We had a good time together.
I mean, how well the Yankees playing, and they just called up Spencer Jones. I mean, is this going to be the Giants' defensive line, or is this going to be the Yankees' offensive machine? You know how big that guy is?
He's huge, and the Yankees are scoring a lot of runs every day. They got a set against Milwaukee this weekend on the road, and a week from tonight, I look forward to being in Citi Field in Queens in Steve Cohen's box when the Mets actually host the Yankees. Yes, Cohen invited me and O'Reilly, to sit with him during the Met-Yankee game next Friday night. But I do want to move to Marco Rubio for a second because – here he is, Brian, and he's brokering a deal, not a deal, but he's trying to broker peace, between Pope Leo and President Trump. And I saw Cardinal Dolan, for example, on your network yesterday, and he was upset with Trump, very upset. But Rubio steps in, he tries to fix it. Rubio, in his Secretary of State role, goes everywhere to try to fix everything, and 9 times out of 10, he's able to do it. So I know J.D. Vance is out there trying to figure out all the fraud, but I never really see Trump with Vance. Marco Rubio is doing all the important stuff, and it's starting to feel to me, because I've been talking Rubio, as you know, from the beginning. From the beginning, I've been a Rubio fan, not Vance. It's starting to feel to me like the Republicans are getting ready in 2028 to make Rubio the guy after Trump. What do you think?
I can't see Trump saying, JD, it's going to be Rubio. I think that if he lays out and just says, I'm going to let the Republicans fight it out, even though it's going to be billions, but not giving up. If you go ahead and anoint J.D. Vance, you give up all the media. All the drama is going to be on the left. Even you will be going, hey, last night I watched that debate between Bashir and AOC. And if it's just J.D. Vance for a year, it doesn't, because that's what happens with an incumbent. There's no drama. So it's almost like J.D. Vance, okay, the president gets behind him. I can't see the president abandoning him unless J.D. does something where he comes out and has a speech where he says, this is not my foreign policy. This is not what I would have done with tariffs, but I'm here to support the president. Then the president would say, you're done. But unless he does something like that, I think the president, the only thing he would do is say what Eisenhower did with Nixon. Nixon really didn't have much of a relationship with him. He's vice president, thinks he's going to get the nomination. And for the most part, Eisenhower goes, no, you got, go ahead and earn it. If the president does that, I think that's a way of saying it's Rubio. But he'll never, unless JD does something on some insubordination. You know why? Because it was the Trump family that gave JD the big push. It was the Trump family that was the one that said he'd be going against Don Jr. and that faction. So I think that rather than do that, and he really likes both the guys. I was talking to a member of his cabinet, and he says that there's not a big meeting that JD is not in, and I watch these guys, they get along great. And I said, really, that's what struck you? And he said, yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, they're fine, but the president really likes Marco too. So my scenario is this. The president says, what I'm going to do is let these guys fight it out. Why? Ted Cruz is basically in. I think Josh Hawley is basically in. I don't know. I don't know if there's somebody else in the cabinet that's going to run. I think Kristi Noem is going to be in. Not that I think that she has any shot at all, but I think that that's what she's preparing for. So, these are all people that Trump knows. Do that. And also would give J.D. Vance a chance to say, here's what I would do different. So if Trump goes out and nominates him and says, he's my guy, then he's got to go stay with Trump. He wants to be different than Trump. And there's no doubt about it. And how does he do that? Well, if Trump doesn't endorse me, that frees me up. And I always say this, there's no way Rubio runs if JD is, because that's how close they are. There's not a rivalry, but on pure performance, look what the Yankees did at shortstop. Volpe's a shortstop. Then they put this shortstop in and they go, I'm going with that guy.
Caballero, he's great.
Better.
He's terrific, Caballero.
He's better. So that's just it. But let the American people decide is the only way Trump will do it, because so far J.D. Vance has been loyal. And I don't have a problem if he's not for the war or for tariffs or anything. That's what your job is. Have the courage to stand up and go, Mr. President, I just want to tell you, I'm going to give my 2 cents. And then you go, I'll do whatever you want. And that's pretty much what I understand he does. And the president does not mind it.
Okay. He's also not very pro-Israel. He employed Tucker Carlson's son. I got a lot of issues with J.D. Vance. I think in terms of performance, it's not even close. I think J.D. is well behind Marco Rubio. But I do think you're right. He's a loyal guy, Trump. He would have done the same thing with Stefanik and Blakeman, but Stefanik shocked me because she's a tough girl in Congress, and she really pulled the coward card and just pulled out because she was upset that she didn't get the endorsement and Bruce Blakeman was in the race. So I think you're right. I think he does that. He likes everybody. Everybody's got a shot. About 60 seconds to go. We're 2 days away from the big show, 10 p.m. Sunday night, which I'll be back on in 2 weeks, One Nation. What are we looking at on Sunday, Brian?
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to go with Ben Shapiro. I got to get his perspective. I think his voice is more powerful than ever. I also am going to go with Jamison Greer. Silently, quietly, he is one of the MVPs of this administration. Now he's talking about the USMCA, rare earth, and that China trip coming up. I got a chance to meet him before the shooting started at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Byron Donalds is going to be with me, and Sage Steele is going to be on. So that's a little about what's happening. Wow. And, of course, on the radio show, we got Jonathan Greenblatt, the Anti-Defamation League, Sean Duffy, Gad Saad, Kristen Sinema. As you know, that she's one of the sober Democrats, so she had to leave. Shannon Bream is going to be with us, too. So I'll be talking about that on radio. And, of course, getting pumped up for Westbury, October 17th, where we bring history to life in the round. BrianKilmeade.com for there, where Sid is going to take a trip to Long Island. I will provide the car service, and we'll put you in a prominent role.
I'm very excited about that, to be honest. I've been telling Danielle about it. I'm going to be in Brian Kilmeade's show, basically, and I really am excited about it. That's going to be fun come October. Your radio show sounds great today, and the TV show, man, what a lineup. Ben Shapiro, Sage Steele, pretty spectacular stuff. That's why we listen to you 10 o'clock every morning, Brian, and watch you 10 p.m. every Sunday night. As always, Brian Kilmeade, great to have you. Amazing stuff. Love you. We'll do it again next week, buddy. Be good.
Right, but do you have any advice for me? Do you have one line, just one line for me?
I got it. Are you ready?
Go ahead. Yep.
Stay within yourself.
Thank you so much. I'm ready to go.
I want that T-shirt, by the way. I want that T-shirt. I want to stay within yourself.
You're getting it.
All right, Brian. We'll talk to you later, buddy. Great job. Thank you so much. That's Brian Kilmeade. Follows me each and every weekday morning. What a great discussion. 10 p.m. Sunday nights is One Nation. 10 a.m. is the Brian Kilmeade radio show on 77 WABC. Truly one of the most diverse and knowledgeable guys in the country. He could talk about the Mets. He could talk about Iran. He could talk about the mayor. He can do it all. And he's my good friend, Brian Kilmeade. We'll take a short break. Lots more to do on this Friday morning. Friday, Sid and Friends in the morning.
Thanks for listening to Sid and Friends in the Morning. You can hear Sid and Friends in the Morning weekday mornings at 6. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Roger Stone here. Every day you wait, your money loses value, but gold and silver don't follow those same rules. American Sovereign Bullion gives you access to a nationwide wholesaler network, helping you secure aggressive pricing on real physical metals. Call 844-272-2428 now to get your free gold and silver guide to learn how to protect your wealth with physical gold and silver, delivered right to your door or with a gold IRA. Visit ASBGold.com. That's ASBGold.com for your free gold and silver guide today.